Sabi girl no dey too like talk. Animals dey in human form. Body man nobody like work, but you must hustle if you want job. E no finish dem wan fight us. If dem dey run dem no fit catch up. I know dey form say I too righteous. No con dey form say you too like us. Me no get the time for the hate and the bad energy. Got my mind on my money. Make you dance like broccoli. Steady green like broccoli. Steady on my grind, oh yeah, what they want telling me. Could deny my fantasy. They want to check if my tap ain't no wrong. But it dey rush well, it be much. Now gotta make my tap in the rush. The kind money we touch, yeah. It dey rush well, it be much. No be hype, everybody they crush. There's no darling with us. You put me jackpata, I dey go Ghana. You never thought you dey from papa. Which kind money we never see before. Cause hello me, got me feeling I'm the one. Ajay. Can never take my cake away. Ajay, you can't count my grace. I just dey my lane. Me no get the time for the hate and the bad energy. Got my mind on my money. Make you dance like broccoli. Steady green like broccoli. Steady on my grind, oh yeah, what they want telling me. Could deny my fantasy. They want to check if my tap ain't no wrong. But it dey rush well, it be much. Now gotta make my tap in the rush. The kind money we touch, yeah. It dey rush well, it be much. No be hype, everybody they crush. There's no darling with us. Cause it dey rush well, it be much. Now gotta make my tap in the rush. The kind money we touch. It dey rush well, it be much. No be hype, everybody they crush. There's no darling with us. There's no darling.
Wherever I be, they know. I already know.
See you today, gone tomorrow. See you today, gone tomorrow. We all have a day to live the world in sorrow, yeah. Wherever I be, they know. I already know. Wherever I be, there.
I already know.
Wherever I be, they know.
I already know. We gotta touch to this life like we're there forever. When you're gone, you gone.
Okay, it's about that time. It's 5:00 in where I'm at least, and it's 6 p.m. in the Eastern Caribbean, especially in Dominica, and it is another Jail Joseph live. I'm smiling so much. I don't know why I'm smiling so much, but we're up to like 37 viewers. I think we have 37 right now. And we need to get it up there because the Prime Minister is there. He's in the lobby. He's waiting. He's actually smiling wearing his nice pink shirt and everything. And he's getting ready for this interview. Yes. And I just want to ensure that everybody's tuned in because we're going to be talking a little bit about his life. I mean, every time we've seen the Prime Minister, he's always talking about something to do with what he's doing or what is being done or what needs to get done. And we never really get to know the Prime Minister, who he is as an individual, what makes him tick. I tried to get into his head, today. Let's see how we can do that today. But I'm not starting unless I have how much you calling, and folks are logging in and they're sharing the live. I see you guys sharing the live. Drop your flags. Let me know where you tuned in from. I want to know where you're locked in. But before I do that, we need to get those numbers up there because we can't have somebody like the Prime Minister of Dominica on and we have like 50 people on. Like that ain't making sense, right? Share the live. Share the live. Yes, I see you guys. I see you guys. Dallas, Texas is locked in. Yes. Sharon is on. Yes. Share the live, Itasi Massive. I see you. I see you. I see you. Brenda Anselm is on. All right, we're getting ready for this show. We're getting ready. Somebody tell me I have to wait till it get to 1,000 before we can start. Somebody just say 1,000. I mean, I do have 10,000 followers. So come on, my people. Like we can't start the show with 50 people, right? All right, so we're getting ready for this show featuring the Prime Minister of Dominica. I know everybody has so many questions. I've been getting a lot of questions. Everybody and their mother wants to ask a question. But you know, the people who follow me, the diehard fans, they got an opportunity to share their questions. And those of you who did in our private group, you know, JL Joseph Live, you one of you, your question will get asked. You know, that's the least I could do, right? You follow me, you keep up with my content, you share my stuff, share the live, my people, share the live. And we have 1 hour with the man, right? 1 hour. And his time is tight. He's on a tight schedule. And we want to make sure that we maximize that 1 hour. So if all you want the man to come on, no, you all need to share the live and make sure we get to a good amount of people. I don't know how much we're saying. How much we're saying? Somebody drop a number for me and let's see how much we're going to wait till we get to before we bring him on this evening now. Portsmouth is in the house. Portsmouth, I see you. Francisca, I see everybody tagging everybody. Tag everybody. Tag your friends. Tag your sister, your nene, your parent, your auntie. Tag somebody because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You get to know, you know, the man behind, I guess, the country. We could say the man behind the country. So let's talk. We're going to be talking to Mr. Scarrett in just a little bit. Share the live. So Africa still say 200. We're up to 75. Let's see. We're up to 75. We're going up there. I mean, this took a lot of hard work to get this interview. We're going to be talking a little bit about the hard work that it took to get this interview in just a little bit. And I feel like my followers, I don't know if you're still at work. I don't know where you'll be, but you all need to come out in large numbers and check out this once in a lifetime interview with the Prime Minister of Dominica, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. And the man did say, you know, that he's not there for long. So, I mean, this is like an exclusive. So if you want to get in on the exclusive, you got to jump on now. Tag your friend, tag everybody in your family. Let them know to join us right about now. So, yeah, I see businesses are locked in. Good evening to y'all. And let me tell you, don't let them fire all, you know. Yes, I'm at work. I'm in the corner with headphones. I see you. I see you. You're in the corner with headphones. It's all right. It's all right. We're gonna get started. We have a really tight show here for you guys this evening. And I want to bring him. I'm gonna bring him on when we get to 100. How about that? When we get to 100, I want to bring him on because he has a tight schedule and I have plenty questions. I have plenty questions, right? And we want to make sure we get all our questions in early o'clock. Good afternoon, Africa Skittles. Good afternoon to you. Good evening, I should say. D Davis. Yes. Somebody saying yes. Make sure who you gonna call. I'm at work. All right. Thank you guys so very much for joining in. And I think it's a good time now for me to bring on the Prime Minister of Dominica. He has the same cup, or we have similar cup drinking from. We have similar cup drinking from. He's drinking his. I hope he's not Kako tea. It's not Kako tea. So I hope you're not drinking Kako tea right about now. So I wanna, without any further ado, I wanna welcome for the very first time on my show, from the where is he in his office, the heart of his office. I want to say a special good evening and welcome to the Prime Minister of Dominica, Mr. Roosevelt Skerrit. Good evening.
Hi, good evening to you, and of course, good evening to your viewers. I must say, I want to tell your viewers that I know you are Shelley.
Yes. You know, me and Shirley, you had to take over. Hey, it's not your show, it's my show.
I may call you that if you don't mind. That's why I know you are. So,
You know me as Shelley. You are correct. You do know me as Shelley. He's getting right into it. So and that I guess tells the rest of the world that we've known each. I've known you all my life.
that's right.
I've known you. We grew up next to each other, right?
That's
Right.
right.
What is the close proximity? How close were
2 homes away, 2 houses away. Yeah.
2 houses away? So we've known each other. So I'm like, this is a really privilege to have you on. But before I even get into it, what took you so long to come on my show? Like,
Well, I don't know. I guess everything happens at one time, and I guess this is the right time now.
This is the right time. I want to thank, first of all, your team and everyone who helped put this together. You know, this took a lot of hard work. I mean, I sent in a request to have you on, and you accepted. And I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity to talk. I feel like because we grew up next to each other, that I am the best person to talk about you because I've known you all my life, and and you're not that much older than me, so we can say we grew up together.
Sure, of course, certainly. I mean, I want to tell you. I mean, I remember when your parents moved to Vegas, and every afternoon from school, I would go help. Your father was my very good friend to help him build a house.
I remember that when I was a little girl.
And the second day I want to share with you and your viewers is that in 1989, your father was a prospective candidate for the Freedom Party. And that year there was a primary and he did not win the primary. And then he decided to go independent. And I was on his team back then. And we went to Pennville that night, one night, to have a meeting. There was 3 of us. He, Ronald Murray, and myself. And he had a Toyota pickup.
A Hilux.
So, yeah, we went to Pennville, a place called Galva. At this meeting, he used his van battery for the PA system. The battery ran down, so we couldn't start. Pennville was pitch dark, no street lights back in the days. And so we had to push him to kickstart the vehicle. He couldn't start. Then he raced down the hill all by himself, you know. Eventually he started and we had to run down that with him. So this is one of my fun memories with your father back in the days.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I say you're probably trying to make me cry. I'm trying to make me get all emotional. You're not gonna catch me. It's my show, eh? It's my show. I put all my tears in a bag tonight. But thank you very much for sharing that story. You grew up, obviously, everybody knows you grew up in Vegas, and that's where most of us who know you grew to know you and the person you've become today. And I kind of want to start off with, you know, some of your memories growing up in Vegas. What was some of your enjoyable? You just spoke of a really enjoyable memory of Pennville, you know, and with my dad. What was some of the other? Because I know you used to go O2. O2 is like the number one spot. It was the number one spot back in the day. Tell us a little bit about your life growing up in Vegas.
Well, we grew up, I mean, it's the fun years in the 80s. As you say, we went to the Bay every day during the summertime, from morning till night, swimming and diving for whales, what they call Wigo. Growing up, I always loved agriculture, so I was very much involved in agriculture. In primary school, I had in excess of 60 rabbits, in excess of 60 goats, and going into secondary school as well, I still had, you know, quite a number of rabbits and goats. And so coming from school in the afternoon, I would have to literally run about a mile from my home to check on my goats all by myself. Sometimes I get back to PSS after 5 in the afternoon. and I would run to a place called Kaku, where we had some land and where my goats were. Played a little cricket on the road.
By
Barbie
us,
guy,
right in front of
Barbie
us.
guy, right in front of you there. Almost every day too.
You used to play now? I swear you used to just watch.
I used to be. I used to play. I would have scored quite a few runs back then. You know.
I swear I only used to see you watching though.
There's a cat must with a fast bowler. You know, bowl. You know, long distances and so on, coming towards the wicket, and so I played quite a bit of cricket in Vegas with the guys back in the days. But my association really in Vegas, I spent a lot of time with people who are older than me. And this is where your father came in. I spent a lot of time with people who apparently were always older than me. I'm learning from them and being guided by them in large measure. So it was really a wonderful experience growing up in Vegas. And as you know, I was on the quiet side.
Very, very. There's a name I used to call you. What I used to call you?
I can't remember. Tell me.
Faouche.
Yeah. Yeah, I was the quiet side. I never liked crowds. I would prefer watch crowds and crowds watching me. Even today, you know, I do what I have to do, and so forth. But back then, you know, I was on the shy side and a more reserved side. But I had a very keen and active interest in politics and international affairs. And
We're gonna get to that. We're not getting into the politics yet. We're not getting into the
Yeah.
politics yet.
But growing up was really fun experience. As you know, I grew up with my grandmother and my aunt right there, and yeah, it was really cool.
I want to put you for a test. Let's see how well, because you say you grew up in Vegas. Let's see how well you know Vegas, right? Growing up in Vegas, who you know they used to call Wawa? Who was Wawa?
Wawal, that's Valentin Joseph.
Who was Zambu?
Zambu, Zambu was Dorothy's daughter. She is now deceased. Eh?
Who was Rompanyu?
Rampanyu was Bernard Brumant. He got his name because he was in Antigua, and he would come and say, "I want a Rampanyu, a ram on you." For the Antigua would say Rampanyu.
Yes.
But he's still there. He's still there, very active and very helpful in the community.
Who was Shiwe?
Shiwe.
Ha! But look how I hold you.
Shiwe. That one slipped me a bit.
Danny Walter.
Oh, Danny.
Who's Vogo?
Bogo?
Mm-hmm.
Virginia Roy, the shop.
Who's Repo?
Rico is now in the United States. That's Julie's nephew. His father's from Collier, mother from Vegas.
Who's Rocky?
That's my grandmother.
Yes. Yes. And who was Repo?
Repo Odin.
Yes, Calitos.
Calitos, yeah.
Yes. You. I remember, you know, my days of primary school. You know, the teacher would always write in my book sentences like "Great student talks too much." What were some of the things your teacher wrote in your book?
I mean, I got a few excellent, a few well done. I think well behaved, always generally well behaved, and participated quite a bit in class. So generally, I think overall, I think I was I say so with humility, a pretty decent student.
Did any of the teachers ever tell you become prime minister? Because you know sometimes teachers would say, "Bonje, Mr. Malkasi, Mr. going to be a troublemaker."
I think the person who told me that, you know, that he think I will eventually be somebody of importance was Kenneth Samuel, who is from Marigot, the principal of the Vegas school, and he's the one who actually got me to common entrance at the time. You know, and yeah, but there are people who would have said these things along the way when I was a student at PSS or the grammar school.
Okay. Now you spent most of your life growing up in Vegas up until before you even decided to run for elections. What about your upbringing that kind of remained with you and that you've transferred onto your children?
Well, humility, you know, humility. You're not better than anybody, and no one is better than you. You know, looking out for people. When I was at school, you know, if I have snack, I would share with my friends, whether it's grammar school or PSS or at Vegas primary school. Um, you know, I would take my friends from Penville to my home for lunch, and I would share my lunch with them. Um, you know, I would ensure that people have what I have, I give you, and I may stay without. And this is how we were brought up. You know, at our home, if a stranger came to our house, my grandmother would feed them first. And there are many times we would have stayed without lunch, or she would have had to cook a second batch of food for us. But we always treated the strangers, and would get the best china and Pyrex dishes and cutlery to serve them. And so we grew up with that sense of service and that sense of taking care of people and being respectful as well.
You know, that is what you talk about your grandmother is so true, because your grandmother was probably one of my biggest fans. Because every time I would travel, when I came home from Canada, I always brought her a cup with coffee in it. She always used to tell me, which one of my grandsons you're going to marry? Instead of none of them. No, none of them. What exactly inspired your political ambitions? I mean, besides you going out with my dad and, you know, the other older people that really looked out for you in the community, what really inspired you to get into politics?
Well, it's something like that intrigued me. As I said, you know, very young, as a young boy, way back in primary school, I followed international news. I would listen to every newscast, every newscast. I could, um, Voice of America, BBC, Canada, ZDK News, ABS in Antigua, PBS here, you know, every newscast I would follow. I was very active in the politics, as you know. My grandmother's home was the Freedom Party base. So whenever the Freedom Party would come to Vegas, they would visit my grandmother. I had the opportunity to interact and to sit next to Eugenia Charles, so rest in peace, many times from the Vegas. Hearing of the politics, being involved. That's where all of the paraphernalia for the Freedom Party would come. I would, as a little boy, be responsible for selling the paraphernalia to the party supporters. I was even involved, even if I couldn't vote, and I was like 13, 14, 15, involved in the process of deciding who's the candidate for the Vegas constituency, or for the Freedom Party. Eventually, I supported your father, as I said, when he became the Labour Party candidate in 1990 because of my personal friendship with him. So even if I couldn't vote, but I provided logistical support to him and would attend meetings in the community. You know, and that interest developed. I have two interests, two intentions. One was to get involved in politics, and the second one also was to study law. Unfortunately, I didn't have the means to go to law school then, so that never happened. But I got involved in the politics. And also said to you, when I left grammar school in 1990, I was the head boy at grammar school, so I gave my final speech at the grammar school. And I said to the students, in 10 years' time, I'm going to be a member of parliament. And in 10 years' time, I became a member of parliament. And I was in the United States studying, and I was saying to my teacher friends there from Dominica, I said, look, I'm going to go back to Dominica. I'm going to become the Minister of Education, and I'm going to interview each one of you. And those of you who form in the food, I'm going to buy. And lo and behold, you know, 4 years or so later, 3, 4 years or so later, I became the Minister of Education in the country. So I guess, you know, sometimes, well, not most times, I believe that what you say can be prophetic, you know. So, but as it is written, the Lord knows what you're destined for, and before you're formed, and so I guess that was my duty. So when I went to university, came back in 1997. I went back to PSS to teach.
Yes, speaking of PSS, you taught me in PSS. You were very, very hard on me in PSS because, and I know it was because not only were we neighbors, my dad was your friend. Like he used to tell us, and what you just said about the news, that is facts. Like I can't even like dispute that, because you told us we had to listen to the news every single morning. I was in third form at the time. Every single morning, and report back to you. And if we didn't report to you, we'd get in trouble. And you used to put me in a lot of trouble with my father.
Well, you see, I always felt that you know, students, we have to develop a holistic child. and people need to know what's happening around them and to decipher fact from fiction, gossip from facts. And students need to know more than what we've been taught at school from the so-called syllabus. And I felt that it's important that students know what's happening around them and so forth. Very important. And I was having students because the reality is most of us came from challenged economic backgrounds. We're not rich people. And I always felt that education was the key and the passport to a better future for all of us. And so I didn't want students to waste their time at school and regret it later. Because back then we didn't have a second chance. We had only one chance. And I wanted to ensure that students made the best opportunity of that chance, take advantage of it. And I think many students looking back recognize why I did it and why I was so hard on them and forceful on them to do well. And so I got interested in students beyond just teaching them, where they live, what are the parents' circumstance, and ensure that provided the guidance that they needed.
Speaking of, you did, I guess you unearthed the reporting skills in me, like you were one of the people. So I want to thank you. Thank you for that. Look at it. Don't take credit for it. Huh? But thank you for that. But not only that, I want to also thank you, for what you did for my parents. When my mom passed away, when my dad passed away, you were there. You were just very there, very present, calling, following up. What do you guys need? You were there. And I know on behalf of myself and my sisters, I want to say thank you very much for the role that you played then and throughout the entire ordeal. You would understand, you know exactly what I'm referring to. And I just want to say thank you very much.
Oh, that's what life is about.
Yeah. So let's start getting into politics. No, the Prime Minister at the time, Pierre Charles, passes on. And when did you realize that you would be the next to fall in line? Like, when was it? When in that moment did you know that, hey, these events have just happened and now I have to take up the mantle and lead? I'm the best man for the job.
Well, it was never. It never crossed my mind, honestly. Contrary to what people may have said, I left the hospital about after 10 in the night. I went home. At the time, there was talk of Reginald Austray succeeding Pierre Charles deceased. And that's what I left the hospital with at the time. When I got to the house I was staying at in Montrose, my home phone rang, and not many people had my home phone number. And when I answered the call, it was Ralph Gonsalves, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I said, well, how do you get my number? He said, well, he got it. And he asked me a couple of questions and asked me who we were looking at. And I said, we're looking at Reginald Austray and so on and so forth. And Gonsalves told me that he thinks I am the one. I said, but no. I said, but there are many other senior guys there. He said, no, you have to go for it. And obviously, Ralph Gonsalves would have spoken to Rosie Douglas back in the days, and Rosie would have shared with him, as he told me eventually, about Rosie Douglas' views about me and taking over the party at some point. And then I got some calls from other people, asked me where I am, myself, when I say home. And they came home, and within an hour, I had about 50 people in the yard. Everybody from all over Ireland. There were also people there, police officers. There were also people there from all over Dominica and Maryland. Just strange. And then some of my colleagues came up there, Ian Douglas and others and so forth, and Kelly Brown, and they started pledging their support for me as a successor to Pierre Charles.
How did that make you feel? How did that make you feel in that moment?
Well, you're in a daze because here it is. I'm the youngest in the cabinet. There are people who would have served a term before me in the parliament, much older than me. How does one consider the youngest person in the cabinet to be the prime minister in our most difficult period at the time, we had the structural adjustment program, the International Monetary Fund. So you are listening to people, but you're almost not hearing them because you're in a daze, feeling the weight of what people are telling you to take on
Mm-hmm.
at the time. And this is how it started. And events just unfolded in a very fast and dramatic way. And this is what happened.
So, so you become PM, you become prime
There
minister.
was a vote. There was a
Mm-hmm.
vote a couple of days later, and only the elected members of parliament on our side had to vote. And I emerged with the most number of votes among the colleagues who contested, and that was it.
So you become prime minister. You've been prime minister for some time. I am interested to know. Are you trying to drinking from a Mickey Mouse cup?
Well,
Is that a Mickey Mouse cup?
well, my daughter bought this for me, and she insisted I use it. So it's just in my office. And so,
Okay, prime minister drinking from a Mickey Mouse cup. Okay, guys, that's how cool he is. He's okay to drink in a Mickey Mouse cup live on JL Joseph. Um, Take us through the day in the life of the prime minister. What do you do? How do you start your day? What time do you start your day? Take us through that.
I'm up very early in the morning, very early, right? So I don't sleep much. Average maybe 4 hours sleep. Um, you and very early you think, and I follow the international news. I find what's happening in the region, different countries within the region, world. And my day is mapped out. What I need to deal with in the day. There may be files I have I deal with. First of all, I make coffee very early in the morning. So I make coffee for myself every morning. I wake up, make coffee, have coffee in the morning. And start the day. I spend a lot of time really interacting with people, which is the most important part of the job of any politician. Listening to people and the concerns and the dreams and the aspirations, and thinking of how we can solve problems. Problems not only of our own in Dominica, but challenges of the region. Because I also have, as a member of CARICOM and OECS, a regional responsibility. So a lot of time is spent, you have to be also paying attention to the finances of the state and revenue coming in and where they're coming from, and ensuring that we always have enough money to cover our expenses for the time. So it is a 24-hour, 7 days, 24/7 job. Yeah.
So when is the enjoyable time for you? What do you do for fun? What do you do to relax? Like, how do you relax?
Well, I have my 2 children home, and so I try to spend time with them as much as possible. So they get the shot and the stick. So I try to spend time. I do a lot of farming, so I get relaxation from farming. But the reality is, going out to the communities and meeting people is part of my relaxation too. Nothing brings greater joy and satisfaction to me than interacting with people.
You mentioned your kids, and I think I want to get all in your business now because I want to know. I remember your wife, in Roseau, hanging out at Valentine's, around Valentine's. I met her in Canada a couple times. Where did you two meet?
I think we first met at a party at my cousin's in New York. Yeah, at Winston's home.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was there, I was there. That's why I talking like that.
Yeah, you everywhere.
Well, every time I spent time in New York, I stayed with Winston. So,
Yeah.
And where did you take her on your first date?
Boy, I think maybe dinner in New York. I was traveling to China at the time, I believe. Yeah, and we're going way back. I think we're in a dinner. That's right.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I now want to kind of switch gears a little bit and ask you a few, because I mean, I have run into you a few times, and you've always greeted me warmly, but I sometimes want to like reach in and shake your hands, but I kind of get scared because you have so much people around you.
No, no, that's okay.
Why do you have such a large security detail? Like, why do you walk around with a large?
The, 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 the truth is, well, I don't make decisions on my security. Left to me, I would not have security. Um, I like to be my own person and my own space and so forth. I escape from them from time to time, which I don't like. Um, but I don't make decisions based on my security. They check police laws, and they determine um, what level of security I should have, and this kind of thing. But the reality is also people have to be fair that a lot of threats have been made about me against me, and it is the duty of the Chira police to take note of those and to ensure that the head of government is always safe. It is not people must not people must understand that this is a constitutional office,
Mhm.
and 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 it is mandated that the whole of that office is provided with protection. But insofar as how many people we have and where and so on, I don't make that decisions. They don't consult me on this at all.
Okay, what would you say, in your office, because it's an esteemed office, is your greatest achievement as a prime minister?
There's so many things we have done in this country. So many things we've done, but I like to focus more on the human aspect of the things that we have done. And one of the things that I will always cherish is the part I had to play with the creation of the SGK program. You know, touching the soul of our senior citizens, providing them care and love, and letting them know that we care, and also um, allowing for greater access to education by ordinary Dominicans. It's something that I believe Dominicans are taking for granted now because we have it. But this wasn't always the case with the traumatic access to education. But not only access to education, but the means of taking advantage of the access to education, whether it's transportation or provision of books and uniforms, or scholarships, university. Um, and an important fact I keep repeating, when I became the Minister of Education, only 7% of all high school graduates attended the college, which means 93 people did not access it. And even when I went to grammar school, I graduated from grammar school, 122 of us graduated, and only 20 of us made it to the college. That is grammar school. So this is a stark reality that we faced with, and I'm happy that I was able to, with the support of the cabinet, establish the Dominica State College and revolutionize access to education in Dominica. And there are a number of things of the housing revolution and providing so many homes for decent, comfortable homes for people, and the joy that it has brought to them, and the sense of pride and dignity that it has brought to them. So there are many things that we've done as a government and as prime minister that I believe have been amazing things.
You speak of the education and the fact that you've done so much where that is concerned. Also, not to forget, the infrastructure like the Dominica Friendship Hospital, plus all the health centers that you built around. But there is, some might say, a serious human resource issue because nurses are leaving, they're getting trained and they're leaving. What exactly are you doing to maximize retention of not just the nurses, but skilled and educated workers like myself in Dominica?
I mean, you have a vicious cycle in the world, and people have to understand why all nurses in the Caribbean are leaving to go to the United Kingdom. Because the nurses in the United Kingdom are being recruited by the countries in the Middle East, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. They are paying nurses more than the Majesty Treasury in the Kingdom would pay them. Likewise, the United States. And so the United Kingdom will recruit from us and from other countries in Asia and Africa. And so that's the vicious cycle. What we're seeking to do and what we've been doing is to keep on training more people. And coming 2023, we're gonna institute a more structured regime of training nurses and training more people, so that we can always have more than we had. I remember one year we started with 100. I think what may have been 2009, with 100 people trained. I brought in professors from Cuba to assist us with training. At the end of the program, I believe we had retained about more than 85% of the 100 people. I met with the Nursing Association recently, and they've said they've advised me on some additional things we can do to allow for the conditions of the nurses to be much better. And so we'll be seeking to institute those in the new year. There are reasonable requests that I think could help. One of which being the payment of medical insurance for the nurses, life and medical insurance for them, etc., and those kind of things we'll be doing, so that we can cover this cost rather than those funds coming from them to maintain the medical insurance. The reality is, we are a developing country. Every country in the world has its own challenges. There are people who will live in the United States to go elsewhere. There are people who live in Canada to go elsewhere. So we are nomadic people in the world, and people will always go where they believe that there might be a better opportunity. It is not always a better opportunity because the circumstance may not be what people think it is. But I believe, all things considered, Dominicans have done well for themselves. In terms of home ownership, per capita, we're very high on the list of individuals who own the land, who own property, they own homes, they own businesses. So I think we're making progress, and with the construction of the international airport, with additional 5-star hotels, seeking to train more people at the university level, so that people have the skills, the digital economy, where people are earning $800 plus US per week, sitting in the comfort of the living rooms. We have over 270 people who have gotten jobs in the last 3 years as a result of our advancement with regards to the digital economy. We are working on the expansion of the call center here. They're now in Portsmouth and creating better opportunities. So I think as time goes by, we will be able to create more exciting jobs for young people, higher paying jobs for young people, and taking advantage of the global economy. Some of the things we're going to be focusing on, for example, in here, is to get young people trained in artificial intelligence. And so we'll be working with International Institute and sending young people to get trained, because there's a lot of money to be made where this is concerned. So, and cybersecurity, all these things.
I saw you guys. We sent a team across, I think, to just recently to compete. So, and I was pleasantly surprised to see, and so I want to commend, the students that went out. But right now, the landscape has kind of shifted significantly, especially following COVID-19, and many islands they've realized that they cannot rely on tourism. And I know we put a lot of emphasis and focus on tourism as one of the main drivers of our economy. What are your plans to diversify economy and drive domestic development in Dominica?
Well, we focus heavily on agriculture as well. Agriculture is heavy. The tourism and service is an important sector, and I think people have to understand that tourism itself is a resilient sector, and we need to have people coming in to consume what we grow and what we produce. And yes, export is important, but more people can come in and consume what we have, what we grow, then it can certainly help the local economy. It can help the vendors, it can help the restaurants, the taxi operators, the rental companies. A whole list of people can benefit from the tourism industry, and this is why we're pushing. If we're going to build an international airport, if we need to, and we're building hotel rooms, we need to, and we need people to come in to take advantage of what we offer in the country. So tourism is an important area, tourism and services. Agriculture, we're focusing heavily on agriculture, and you're seeing in the budget address a dramatic focus on certain areas of agriculture, so that we can reduce our food import build and expand our export opportunities, and thereby creating more jobs for people. And I'm excited about the agriculture because I've seen a number of professionals, doctors and lawyers and business people, accountants moving to tertiary education level who are involving themselves in agriculture, and it's a good sign. It's a good sign. Because you can make money in agriculture if you do it well, and of course we provide support. Small business development is key. We have seen over the years a dramatic increase in small business owners in Dominica, agro processors, the people in the services industry, and what we're seeking to do is to provide them with access to cheaper financing, fiscal incentives, concessions, so that we place them on a more sustainable path and they can sustain what they have and expand on what they have. And of course, the education services, as you're well aware, we have found a replacement for us. The folks are very serious. They have staff on island now. Staff are coming in to ready the university to begin classes next year, September. And so we look forward to this. We're hoping to start this with no less than 100 students and grow it from there. And of course, we have All Saints University that's present there. We have Dr. Ferreira, who was just opened the St. Joseph University School of Medicine, and that has started pretty well. And we have the Veterinary School of Medicine here in Dominica as well. So the number of schools that are coming on board and to help create jobs, and professionals can have an opportunity to lecture and to have access to additional services.
Okay. You mentioned the international airport, and a lot of your critics might say you've mentioned it quite a few times. I mean, I follow you well enough to know you've mentioned it quite a few times. What is the holdup on? Somebody might say, what is the holdup on the international airport?
There's no holdup. I mean, let's face it. I mean, we've been talking about the international airport, yes, but we always said that it is a process. I mean, the first order of business was to institute night landing in Dominica. When I came in as Prime Minister, planes could land at night. I expanded the runway. I built a virtually new terminal building, put in lights, and planes have been able to land in Dominica at night. That was a medium-term, short to medium-term solution to air access in Dominica. And we have been making steps towards building international airport. As you know, we were saving $5 million every month. Unfortunately, Hurricane Maria came and we had to utilize those funds to provide shelter to people and to keep people at work in the private sector and elsewhere. And so we started the process of looking at the international airport in 2020. And we are in 2022. And the amount of work that we've done in these 3 years have been amazing. We have the design, we have the master plan. We have signed the contract for the construction of the airport. This is an international firm, China Railway 5. It's one of the largest Chinese state-owned companies. They're mobilizing. We expect the bulk of the equipment to come in December of this year, and we will see earth movement starting in the first quarter of 2023. But there are a number of things that we're doing. We've been clearing land. We've been doing a number of geotechnical surveys, drilling a number of boreholes across the length of the site. A lot of soil testing have been done. The environmental impact assessment had to be conducted. We had to acquire land, and when you acquire land as a government, you have to survey every square foot of land that you're acquiring. We survey 520 something or 30 something acres of land, doing all the evaluations and assessments of people's properties, negotiating with them, mobilizing the resources to compensate them, building homes. We build homes for them. For many of them who accept the government to build homes for them. We've built the lab, and the lab is functional and ready to go. We're now finalizing the offices there, and the offices are basically completed. And so you will see dramatic mobilization taking place in physical presence on the ground in December with the
So if you had to give me a date, you'd say December. If you have to give me a date, what date?
A large vessel will land in Dominica in December of this year
Okay.
with a large quantity of all the equipment and the resources required to move the airport forward.
Hashtag, I'm asking for myself. I'm asking
Yeah,
for myself.
so and then you will see in the first quarter of next year, earth movement taking place with a completion date being the end of 2026 for the international airport.
Okay. What are some of your frustrations as it relates to the rate of change?
The
Frustrations as it relates to the rate of change. How slow
Well,
things.
I mean, this is a democracy, and it's a place where everybody has to share the views. I just believe that Dominicans need to be consistent of what they want. We want the international airport when it's being constructed. We don't want it. We want the road. When the road is being constructed, why are they building the road now? We don't want any inconvenience. So we have to be consistent with what we want. I think we have to take the national discourse away from partisanship and look at the good. If you don't support me and I'm doing something good, then say it's good. Why should you say it's not good? And if you support me and you think that we could do something differently, then say it. We can do it differently. So I think that we in Dominica, we have to be more consistent and more constructive in how we see things and how we contribute to things. I maybe have more dramatic ideas than most people, but I can't always impose my views or my feelings or my perspective on the whole country. So there's some things I would like to do differently than how would have been done. But this is not about me. It's about the people of Dominica and what they want. And so there are times I have to go with what they want and how they want it. So this is what it is. This is the nature of our society, and we have to respect it.
I'm glad you kind of mentioned what they want, because some people would say that majority of Dominica wanted reform. So they're probably asking, why did you call this snap election and didn't provide them with what they wanted, so to speak?
Well, we all want. I too want it. In 2016, I provided the electoral commission with all the resources they required to institute the voter ID cards. The machines are sitting in the basement of the electoral office. I provided them all the staff. I provided them all the hardware and the software needed to effect the national ID cards. I went to Parliament, and that was after Erica, when 90% of our country's economy was affected. And I had to mobilize monies to relocate 2 communities, to build homes for them, and to place them into rental accommodation, feed them, provide them with a family allowance until we completed the homes for them.
Mm-hmm.
And major piece of infrastructure was washed away. The bridges were washed away on the West Coast. I mean, it's a lot of destruction. And I gave to the Electoral Commission all of the millions they required to issue the national ID cards. And I sought to go to Parliament with the draft legislation to allow for this to happen. And there were some in the society who didn't want it. There was big mayhem outside the Parliament, and I felt in the advancement of peace and tranquility, I withdrew the bills before Parliament. I could have gone ahead with them. Yes, we had a majority, but I felt that electoral reform is such a sensitive matter. I didn't want to let it appear that only the government was going ahead with it. That's why I withdrew the bills. I got the Attorney General to send those bills to the stakeholders and solicit their views on which aspect, including the opposition, which aspects of the draft bills they had issue with, and what would be the recommendations going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And there was not the cooperation from the opposition at the time. And this is how we ended up. We ended up because there's no agreement. The opposition will not agree on anything. And let's face it, the reality is electoral reform is a low-hanging fruit that any opposition party would use in a situation where one party has been in government for so long. It's a no-brainer. But the fact of the matter is, we've always had free and fair elections since 1951. I mean, the UWP contested the election on the same system, and it was free and fair. Eugenia Charles and Freedom Party, 15 years in government, same thing. And so why is it not fair today? Because it was just scared the Labour Party is winning. we winning because we stayed in touch with the people. We are the better party, and we are able to convince majority of Dominicans to vote for us. So, so there's nothing untoward about this election. It will be conducted in, and let's mark it. I may have been the first prime minister to invite election observers to come in to look at the elections. I believe we can cross check. It may not be good, but I believe so. To observe our elections. In this case, we have 4 observer missions coming into the country to observe our elections. But the reality is, the elections are being held in conformity with the Constitution of Dominica, and that is preeminent. And so no one can say that the elections are illegal and all sort of things and so forth. So yes, we would have wished that the process would have been completed by now. But having not been completed does not mean that we will not have a free and fair elections. I mean, when you look, if you go to, for example, the Vegas, the polling station at the village council, everywhere else in Dominica, every candidate has an agent in there. And when you come in, you ask your name, and all of your agents hear your name, and the agents can ask you they can challenge you, and if they challenge you, you sign an affidavit saying that yes, I am Jael Joseph, and this is my.
Call me Jael Joseph now. You call me
so
Jael.
I just that's the name that you use on all your records. So I'm using that. So it's fair and fair. I don't see how one can say, well, the seats that we won were not free and fair, but those that you won were free and fair. But it is the same system, the same laws, the same processes. So I don't think it's fair for anybody to give the world the impression that we have not been conducting free and fair elections. I don't think it's fair at all. One can argue, well, we should have had the electoral reform before. But let me ask you a question. And ask those who ask, who are saying, why would you wait? What if we didn't get an agreement on what should be in the reform agenda, and the time the election date or the constitutional term of the government would have come to an end? What would we have done?
That's a question for the people who vote for you.
It's a rhetorical question. So what if? So are we saying that unless we have electoral, we should never have elections? What are we saying? So the key for us to understand is that the elections are being held in conformity with our constitution and laws of Dominica, electoral laws of Dominica. That we've always had free and fair elections since 1951, including the years of Eugenia Charles and the Freedom Party, and including the 1995 elections where the European Honorable Mr. Elson James won elections, and we all respect that.
And there have been times in the past where elections have been actually called before, so we have to agree.
Yeah, I mean, you did. Freedom Party did it. Mr. James did it, and Mr. James called the election on New Year's Eve. I mean,
yeah, and I recall I was alive. I was old enough to know that was going on.
Yeah.
But
and then what we did was that Rosie, and I remember Edison James saying he cut Rosie with his pants down, and Rosie responded by saying, "Yes, you cut my pants down, but I had my boxes on." So and we filed 21 candidates, including myself, contested the vacant seat, and we contested. We had less resources than the at the time, but we went and we captured the hearts and minds of the people down there. But it is because for the Lucas Party now, with no leader, no policies, no programs, and no money to contest an election, and no candidates. So
Mrs. Gary, PM, first of all, let me take you back. I know it's reforming is a heated question, and we don't want to dwell on it. I think you've answered the question, and we could go round and round on it. I kind of want to, because you brought up the candidates aspect of it, and I'm looking from like last election 2019 to now. You kind of reshuffled, and you've reshuffled probably 100% of your team, if I have my facts right, to make space for new people. So you've gotten rid of the old heads of experience in governance, so to speak, and you've now brought in new people. How would you answer if critics say that you are surrounding yourself with less and less experienced people? How would you answer that question?
That's not true. I mean, we have, but first of all, the the leader of the party who provides policy guidance for the party is the most experienced politician now serving in the country. That's Roosevelt Square. I'm the longest serving parliamentarian now, the Austria now gone. And I have the experience to provide guidance to them. There are people who have served a term, Dr. McIntyre and others who served a term who have gotten to know government functions, Cassidy Laville, Dennis Charles, Shakira Lockhart, Melissa Skerritt, all of these people, Grant.
So you're saying that 2 years is enough for them to feel that they've have enough experience to
At
run a
least they have an understanding appreciation for how government functions and have a better appreciation for what their functions and responsibilities are. And I think with my guidance, they have been able to fall in very nicely in the jobs. And they bring a particular level of discipline and commitment to the task. And I think they'll do well. And so we bring in some fresh pair of legs with better eyes, who will bring in that vigor and that freshness through the country. So you allow for different perspectives and different views to contend, and we find the best solutions for the country. And we have carefully selected them. They're all, I mean, you're a gentleman who will be working for 27 years in senior management at the National Bank. We are the chief fisheries officer. We're a gentleman who was a permanent secretary for several years and a formidable permanent secretary who knows all the public service function. He was the highest ranking public official in the ministry, so he knows all the functions. So he's not going to start work with complete ignorance. We have a medical doctor who was worked at the health system at a district level, at the hospital level, who understand what health is and the challenges of health, who can bring to bear her experiences and her interaction with people. So we have people who have technical, practical skills in their areas of work. We have young Akia Joseph, 23 years, who understands what the challenges of the current generation of young people are. She's an entrepreneur. She's a business person, and she knows the challenges of engaging herself in agro processing and developing ideas and so forth. I mean, so people bring a host of different perspectives. We have the young lady in Salisbury who has a health background and she's working in the Ministry of Health and Public Health. So it's a really wonderful set of skills. And one of the beautiful things about it is that close to 50% of these candidates are women, which is the first in our history. And I don't select them because they're women.
I was about to ask you, like, is it because you love the ladies?
Because they have capacity, they come in to serve. It happens that we are able to recruit. The challenge I always have, and I want to say, the challenge I always have is that, and I thank God for that, is that I always have a difficulty in finalizing the list of candidates because there's so many people who offer themselves to this party. I'm very fortunate as a party leader. We have so many people of high caliber who offer themselves as candidates.
Somebody say jail for Vickers after.
So we have some experience and some youthfulness. So it's a very good blend. The country certainly will be excited for that.
Unfinished business. You're entering your 5th term in office, and you've signaled that your exit will be imminent. What is left for you to do? What is left? I'm asking you as the person and not you as the politician, you as a leader. What is left for you to do?
Well, I believe I have run my race. Very soon I'll finish my course and pass on to the next generation of leaders in the country within my party, from my party. Someone who my colleagues will determine is the best person to lead them and to lead the country and to lead the Labour Party. And this is never about me, and so I always believe that we must pass on the baton at some point. I have served as Prime Minister for some time and as party leader for some time. And I believe that still have a lot of energy in me. I'm just 50 years old. The difference between myself and many other people is that I came into politics very, very young and very early. And I believe it's only fair that I give the country an opportunity to experience somebody, and that person certainly will come from the lower party. And so we'll see how it goes in the next couple of years. I'm certainly leaving by April of 2025 as Prime Minister of the country and leader of the Labour Party. And at some point, eventually, as a member of Parliament for the Vickers constituency.
Wow, so that's gonna be interesting to see who's gonna take over. I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting on my chair. I'll wait.
But this is let me say a very clever to all and sundry. This is a scary constituency. This is a scary constituency, and even if scary step to the side, it's always going to be a scary constituency.
I have a
Labour constituency, scary
constituency. Yeah. I want to play one game before I ask my final question for the night. And I want you to choose one because I want to get a sense of what you align with. So you're gonna choose one, eh? Red cap or Boabadi?
Red cap
or Boabadi?
Red cap or Boabadi? I don't drink.
You have to choose one. You have to choose one.
Let me go the red cap because you say red, so I'll go the red cap.
Broth or Kalalu?
Give me my broth, yeah.
River bath or sea bath?
Sea bath, yeah.
Pie or Mondaniel?
Pie.
20 years after the passing of Eolie Blanc, people continue to speak of his work. What will your legacy be?
The truth is, people ask me this question, and I really don't preoccupy myself with this issue of legacy. Honestly, I do what I have to do at the service of the people. I help people create better lives for themselves. I think we have impacted in a positive way thousands of lives, and that's what it is. I love this country, and I feel privileged to have been given the opportunity to serve at the highest level in this country. But in terms of legacy, I'll leave for the people to decide on this. I really don't pay attention myself, preoccupy myself with legacy. I'm just doing what I have to do with the resources that the Lord has given to me, and with my energy and my skill. So I don't really pay attention to legacy, really. But I guess that's what the people, with their determination, if they so desire.
Mr. Prime Minister, any final words, anything that you want to, I know you have like a lot to do after, so any final words, anything you want like
to say? My view is this, contrary to what people believe, I'm not a political animal, really. I have no access to Brian. I didn't come to politics with any enemies to go after. I'm a hard fighting politician. I am, I am a leader of a party, and I can respond to people. But people recognize that I spend more time getting blows than giving blows. Mm-hmm. Only thing is that when I give one blow, then you from Bakers, people feel it, but I have no hate towards anybody. I have only love for people. I will want to see people recognize that, and that we can have our differences, but that doesn't mean that we should be friends, and that we cannot speak to each other and we cannot break bread or have a drink together. Let us take the politics back to philosophy and to ideologies and to policies and to programs, and what ultimately is the best for the country. But when the politics comes, election time comes, let us fight the politics. And so I'm hoping that and I'm saying so even to the new generation of leaders that I have identified within the Labour Party. I've said, look, let us play our part in ensuring that we can bridge the gap, bridge the divide which exists in our country where the politics is concerned. And I'm extending that to everybody in the country. This is not my country alone, it's our country. We have different views, we support different political parties, but that shouldn't mean that we should be back to each other and be so insolent towards each other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we are setting a good example for current and future generations. But I have no hatred towards anybody. Um, nobody can say I've discriminated against them if they will come to government for help. And the reality is, I have met in 1 year, I counted, I saw about close to 9,000 people in my office in 1 year.
Wow.
And no one can tell you that I've ever asked them who they support. I never ask people who they support. I may know, but I won't ask you who you support. That to me, that is, you come to the Prime Minister, you come to the Prime Minister. And I don't think asking who you support and so on. And people who have come in my office are staunch opponents of my party or are surprised how I interact with them. So do not let your perception of me or your interpretation or your definition of me be what people say about me. Let it be based on your interaction with me. And everybody who has interacted with me has left with a completely different impression than which they had. They had a negative impression when they met me, and they left with a completely different perspective, a positive one of who the person is. Down to earth, humble, not allowing the office to get to me, not allowing the office to define me. I allow people to, I want people to refer me to as Skerrit. I call you, I say I'm a Skerrit, I introduce myself as Skerrit. If I call any public officers extension, I say this is Skerrit calling. You know, that's how it is. And you see how I walk the streets in Vegas when I'm there. My short pants and slippers, interacting with the people, and that's what it is, really. And my hope and prayer is that we can bridge this political divide and focus on the things which really matter to the people of the country, which is creating a better way of life for them, more sustainable jobs, higher paying jobs. And when elections come and we're campaigning, let's go at it. Night of election, best party wins, and let's go back to working at the service of the country. But it's not fair to the country that we withdraw ourselves because of who we support. This is our country. When Hurricane Maria came, it affected everybody. It didn't pick and choose, you know. And I drive on the same roads with people. My children go to the same schools. I go to the same health centers like everybody else, the same hospital like everybody else. We buy from the same supermarkets as everybody else. So we know we're really no different. Really no different. Our circumstances may be slightly different, but we are all Dominicans. And I think my hope and prayer, and I say so with the greatest sense of sincerity, that we can move away from this divisive, internecine type of politics, you know, and go back to the good old days. I had a very good relationship with Ellison James when he was leader of the opposition. I had a very good relationship with Ron Green, and certainly Earl was my good friend. But it changed along the way when, you know, and I'm hoping that we can really get back to those days when we could agree to disagree, but be respectful of each other.
Since you brought it up at the start, I think I want to finish off with that. If my dad was alive, what would he say about you? Would he still be proud of you?
Well, yes. I mean, as you know, he did not support me in the first couple of elections, but he came back to me, and he was a very strong supporter of mine in the 2009 or 14 election. About 14.
No. Daddy was actually there from the beginning.
Yeah, he was there at the beginning, but I know he had supported the Workers' Party in the 2005 election. But he came back to me, you know, and said, look, there's no way, you know, I mean, not supporting you wasn't making sense to me because, I mean, you grew up with me, you know, and so forth. And he became a very strong supporter of mine. And that's why I I was so very saddened by his death, by his death and so on. Because he was such a pillar in the community. He was always involved in community activities, community of service. He was always involved and helpful in the community. He was a very strong supporter of mine, and he was happy that someone who he helped mold as a young boy in the Vegas became the prime minister of the country, literally two homes from him. But he and I, as you know, had a very good relationship way back when I was primary school. To my days at PSS and got involved and so forth. And I have very respectful and sincere memories of him and our relationship. So, um, and there was some responsibility and duties I had just assigned to him. I had assigned some national duties to him. Unfortunately, he went a bit beyond. But I guess that's part of life. So,
Yeah, my sisters are in the chat and they're saying that one of them is saying she remember when daddy called and he said I'm scared now.
yeah,
he made no secret of who he supported when he supported.
yes,
As well, he would tell you if he felt you were going wrong.
of course, of course, of course. And then, like, even when he wasn't supporting me, the time we're best of buddies. I always joke with him when we meet. He always joke with me. Always, I was still coming to his yard, and he was still coming to my house and so on. I mean, there are times I'll be going to town. I meet him at the bus stop. He would jump in the government vehicle with me and drive to town. So this is what it's supposed to be. This thing of we fighting against each other. Life is too short and 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 and, and uncertain. And I get to know I'm the prime minister today. Tomorrow I will be prime minister. So what's next? So let's forget this fight and fuss and so on. We do have a house. The house can catch fire tonight. Um, you know, hurricane can come and mash up your house. Whatever you have in life, material things it can disappear. What we need to go back to is the old days of being our neighbor's keeper. And I grew up in a generation where somebody would come to borrow your house,
Sugar,
your house boat,
sugar, sugar,
or,
sugar.
or greater match, as you call it. I mean, or lend me some sugar.
Like
Some
as if you're gonna give them the matches back, eh?
you know what I'm saying? So that's the generation I grew up in. The times. So, but sincerely, I have zero animosity to anybody, zero politically, nothing whatsoever, um, nothing whatsoever. As I said, I fight the politics hard when I have to, but in terms of love and hatred and so on, hatred, no, I don't have the time for that. The Lord put us on earth to do good, and that's what we're going to try to do. We're not perfect, so we have some human feelings, but um, that's my hope and prayer. And I'm hoping that the young people who go to universities um, can create that different perspective and not fall into the trap, that vicious cycle. So it is on the current generation to help change that discourse in the country and move away from the internecine struggles that we have that is sapping the energy of our people and robbing the country of its talent, um, you know, and the kind of human spirit. It showed itself the unity of the country after hurricane, but alas, it did not last too long. But we have it within us to demonstrate.
Mrs. Garrett, it has been a pleasure. Thank you very much for taking us on a walk down memory lane. For me, it was memory lane. For a lot of the viewers, it was new for them to kind of learn about you growing up because people always just see this person and they think, and that's what my show is about. My show is about featuring people's lives, the intimate aspects of their life. Like I really don't care about, honestly, I don't care about the politics. I just feel there are questions that need to be asked and we ask them. But I really want to say thank you to you and your team for allowing me the opportunity to interview you and so that my viewers can get to know you a little bit more. People are saying it's too short, but I know you have a busy schedule and you have other places to be. And
I can always come back. I always come back anytime. It's a pleasure engage in discussion, and I look forward to another opportunity. And thank you for this opportunity. And I wish you all the best. I myself am very proud of your achievements, um, and the influence that you have on society. And I think um, the, the many young people in our own community should take note of that. And you guys have gone through your struggles, having lost two parents, but I believe that has strengthened you and lost your parents in quick succession. And that has certainly strengthened you. And I have the greatest admiration for yourself and for your two other sisters, who have really brought positive attention to Bakers and for scholastic achievements, and really amazing. And I think your parents are looking down, certainly, especially AJ. Very proud of you guys and what you have been able to achieve in this life.
Thank you
And
very much.
I celebrate that, and because I know you, I know you guys.
Yes. And I think people don't even understand that. Like, some people might be just jumping on them and like, "How Mr. and how he and jail so mushy," because we know each other. I've known you guys all my life. Like, it's like I can't throw a big stone behind you. Like, it doesn't make sense. So this is not the person that I know. So I appreciate, and thank you for your kind words. And my sisters are also on there, and they're showing love and everything. And thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you. Good night. I'm off to Marlow now.
Yes, have a good night. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Guys, you want a part two? Y'all want a part two? I mean, this was wonderful. Thank you very much to the Prime Minister and his team for allowing me this opportunity to speak to him about his life. This is what the show is about: his youth, his life, his legacy, and to all of you who tuned in and shared the live. Really appreciate you very much for coming on and joining me right here on my show. I hope to see you back soon. You got to tell me who you guys want next, who you guys want to get to know a little bit more next. Drop a comment. Let me know who you want to see next on the show. I only pop up when the people call. The people ask for it and I give it to them. I just want to say thank you very much to every single one of you who tuned in, who shared the live, who followed, who continue to support. Thank you for those who don't support as well, because I know those of you who don't like me, I'm always in your mind. But thank you very much for this opportunity to reach out into your homes. Until next time, bye. Take care. Bye-bye.